For decades, attorneys used to just put an ad in the yellow pages or put up a billboard, but not everyone read the yellow pages. Not everyone drove by that particular spot where the billboard was. But with email or with social media, you can reach everyone in your geographic area that would be a good fit for your services.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Law Firm Marketing Minute. As always, I'm your host, Mike, but I'm also joined by Eddie.
Hello.
And John.
What's up?
I don't think you were expecting him to.
I was not. No. I thought
it's from Animal House, like Needlemeyer's 0.0. Hello.
Yeah, I knew you guys had taken over the show. I thought I'd gotten a little more professional, but it's fine.
No, absolutely. It took the opposite turn.
Yeah. I mean, I know it was weird when I was with Sophia a couple of weeks ago. I thought that was kind of an anomaly, but I guess not.
Yeah, no, that's basically how we kind of run things.
What happened with Sophia?
No, so we had our podcast episode. It was us two and then Sophia.
Yeah.
And it was a much different experience for John because he was used to, something a little bit more
refined.
Yeah, refined, professional, something a little bit more
structured. Look at all these soft insults coming your way right now.
It's okay. But today we do have a great episode lined up, especially with this time of year. A lot of lawyers tend to, think they'll push things off to the holidays. We had an episode on that. You can go listen to that one. But today we're going to talk about why this is the perfect time to do some lead nurturing and how you don't want to let your leads go cold because, snow and December and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You sound like a mother putting their kid out in the snow for the first time.
How so?
Don't let your legs get cold. I don't know. I just seem very motherly of you.
Well, thanks. I'm actually a father, but, I guess I can be motherly if I, need to be. So first and foremost, I invited two of our brightest minds on the show today.
We get that in writing?
No, I didn't put that in writing.
Okay.
No, I'm actually going to edit this part out, but
sounds right.
Because I wanted the audience to get a really good idea because Eddie does our blogs, Eddie writes our emails. John
used to.
He had been in that position for a very long time. Plus, he's a published author. So, he's somebody who knows a lot about, nurturing the audience through the through written word.
Yeah.
I've been published too, Michael, but I'm not going to take that offensively.
You have?
Okay, I have.
How many books?
I've been published in magazines. I'm a short story
writer.
Oh, okay. That's the real crap.
No, I meant real publishings.
Well, hang on. I wouldn't even go there.
I'm stirring up a lot of nonsense here. So first and foremost, Eddie, talk to me about what our strategy has been this month to keep in touch with our audience. Even though it's a very busy time of year, lawyers are already busy. So what are we doing to keep in touch and nurture our audience?
The strange part about this time of year is there's a massive amount of networking opportunities that are happening in December. So we're talking about nurturing, especially in this time of year. I mean, you're going out. We just brought Santa Claus out to a
it was a mech bar party.
Yeah, it was. So it was for the association, and we handed out a bunch of stuff. But the point was, we met a lot of people we had never met before. But the thing is, we're going to talk about is that once you meet them, that can't be the last time you talk to them because no one is going to come work for us or work with us if we met them at a party and never speak to them again. It just doesn't work that way. So we're talking about nurturing, like meeting someone and then trying to guide them to the point or stay in touch with them to the point that they actually do want to work with you in the future.
Yeah, and you think about it practically, right? Like just think about how distracted we all are on a daily basis. Everything's competing for our attention, right? And so, like to Eddie's point, like you meet someone once, it's pretty easy to just forget whoever they are the next day or even like by the time you get home because, everything on your phone, so many different things you got to watch on Netflix, so many commercials that are trying to vie for your attention. It's just easy to forget. And so that's why, to your point, man, just like nurturing and continuing to stay in touch after the fact is going to be really important.
Now, as published authors, to both of you, I opened that can of worms. Let's talk about like how your work, like whether it's a blog, whether it is something on social media. I guess I can speak a little bit to it afterwards. How does that play into effect? Like, so Eddie brought up like networking. So let's say these lawyers are going, networking. How much does that play, come into effect when staying top of mind?
Well, because, you have to fight for people's attention. I mean, nobody's going to willingly invite you in their life if you don't have something valuable to give them. It's just that you have to start out in terms of building a relationship in that way. It's just what I always tell lawyers, like, you just can't hit people up on social media for calls to action in terms of consultations. You just call me, book a consultation. I want to sell them right then and there. It just doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way in real life either. Yeah. I mean, so like the reason pop-up ads were so infuriating is they distracted you away from what you were trying to do in the first place. So if you have something valuable, and as an attorney, you absolutely have something valuable because there's a huge knowledge gap between you and any of your clients. And if you're willing to close that gap via any sort of medium, whether it's a blog, a book, or a post, I mean, it doesn't a video. They're going to invite you into their life, and they're going to remember you because they're inviting you into life and they're seeing your name. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about it a different way, I mean, just imagine, two different kinds of people show up into your office. Like, one is just like yelling in your face, like, hire me! Like, you're probably not. You're probably going to kick them out. Like,
sorry to the speakers for that.
Whatever. Jump scares. But then the other person, they come in and they quickly point out a problem that they have seen, maybe something going on in your office or whatever the case may be. They're, just presenting it. Like, you're much more inclined to at least hear them out and maybe even get their contact information, maybe stay in touch. And so the same principle applies. You meet these people, you generate these leads. You're going to turn people off by constantly saying, call my office, hire me. People are going to tune you out. They're going to ignore you. They're going to block you. And it's a waste of time. But if you're out there presenting information, presenting problems, answering the questions that are keeping people up at night, they're more inclined to keep you around and find the value in what you do so that when the time comes to hire, you're going to be the first person that they think of.
And at no point should you ever back off of that either. Yeah. I know a lot of people with clients, well, I've worked with them, they'll remember me. And I've said this story before. I'm divorced. I had a divorce attorney, and then 3 months afterwards, after I got divorced, someone came up to me and said, "Do you know of any good divorce attorneys?" And I forgot the guy's name.
It only took
5 minutes?
5 minutes for Eddie to bring up his divorce.
I'm bitter. No, but in this case, one of the rare instances, it's applicable because I forgot my attorney's name and I liked my attorney. I would have given him, but how many thousands of dollars did he miss out on simply because I didn't forget his name? And he provided he worked very well for me. I would have very willingly referred him, but in that moment, I lost it. So you can't back off either. Even if you have a good rapport with somebody, you guys still have to maintain that.
Yeah, I mean, I had a similar situation. I am not divorced, but
It took 6 minutes for John to mention he's not divorced.
Yeah, which it's kind of a record for me because I never mention it. But I got a traffic ticket, and the law firm that I had to hire to help get me through it, like, I never heard from them, even during the case. Like, I had to follow up with them and be like, hey, am I going to get arrested for something, for failing to appear? Because, I hadn't heard anything from them. And then they finally got back to me. And since that case was closed, never heard anything from them since. And
what was their name?
Couldn't tell you.
What did they look like?
I never met them.
Dang. What kind of law firm was this?
I mean, I was fully transactional over email.
Oh,
I never met my divorce attorney.
Really?
I don't even know what he looks like.
See, I didn't even know that was like a part of some of these lawyers.
It's a route you could go, yeah.
Yeah, but like even that just strengthens the idea that you just can't back off. I mean, because I don't know this person. We did a lot of email and phone calls, and again, that's probably why I forgot them.
Hey there, we're gonna get right back to the episode in just a few seconds here, but I wanted to share this opportunity that's exclusive for podcast listeners, or if you're watching on YouTube, exclusive to you as well. If you book a strategy session with us, using the link in the podcast description or YouTube description. In the notes section, all you got to do is type LFMM for a Law Firm Marketing Minute. And if you decide that we're a great fit and we decide you're a great fit for us, you'll have no monthly payments until January 2025. Pretty crazy. So go ahead and check the description. All right, let's get right back to the episode. Yeah, I mean, on social media, like I said, I'll speak to the social media part. On social media, you see, especially this time of year, everyone's flooding the feeds with buy this, buy that. It's the most joyful time of the year. For these.
Not for me.
For these retailers, and so you're getting constantly bombarded. We're saying like you're getting constantly bombarded by information, and nowadays it's very salesy. It's very like, especially on TikTok. Oh, click the coupon in the TikTok shop. Pop, pop, pop. Buy my shit, and I got a percentage kind of thing. That's everywhere. It's everywhere. And at some point, it gets. I mean, it's already annoying, but it gets even to the point where I just don't go on the app because I'm like, all right, well, I don't really care to see someone just have a piece of content where it's salesy, and I'm a consumer.
Yeah.
I am going to buy Christmas presents. I'm not a Scrooge. I am a Stooge, but I'm not a Scrooge. I'm not a Grinch by any means, but I'm gonna buy what I want to buy. And definitely not going to buy from somebody who's constantly saying, "Oh, click on the coupon."
People don't like being sold. I mean,
they don't go to social media to be sold.
Right.
To.
I mean, they don't think they like being sold in general. I mean, how many people avoided car dealerships or bring someone with them? I mean, I bring my daughter to the Target. There's always that section where there's like the kid stuff, and right next to the kid stuff are the people selling the cell phones, and they stand out there. Hey, you got a minute to talk about it? How many people in that Target walk right past them? No one's want to stop, say, "Hey, I want to hear your pitch." People don't want it. I mean, you don't like it. They try to avoid it.
You should also if you're in sales to begin with. I mean, I did sales a little bit.
Poorly.
Yes, very much so. That's why I'm in social media. No, I mean, like even if you are going to sell, there's ways to go about, because I hear a lot of times from lawyers saying, well, at some point I need to sell myself, right? But like there's ways to go about it without being like direct call to actions. Like, I mean, what we do is we put out hella information. Like we give away the farm, as we say.
Right now.
Yeah. Eddie writes the emails, and I mean, you had an email like a couple weeks ago, or it was last week, where you basically said like something about, from a former SEO writer or something like that.
Yeah. Confessions about a former SEO copywriter.
Yeah. And so basically, I mean, he kind of laid out like, hey, this is what we know about SEO. This is what he knows about SEO because he worked in that field. Here you go. Maybe was there like there was probably a CTA at the end, I would imagine.
There was, but I mean, the CTA doesn't necessily have to be.
But the CTA wasn't, hey, sign on the dotted line right now.
No, it's like you either talk to somebody. Here's more free information you can find. I mean, you're trying to get them to action. It doesn't necessarily mean get them to become a paying customer or a paying client. That will happen in time.
If you do it right.
If you do it right. If you don't bombard them with, call me now.
So let's talk about these channels of nurturing. John, if you want to, so John was our editorial manager for a while there. He was also an account manager beforehand, right? So, I mean, he's dealt with clients firsthand, and he's also dealt with...
John's done everything but own the company at this point.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. I guess I don't think there's anything you haven't touched upon.
So, what are the main focus, the main channels that lawyers should focus on with their lead nurturing?
With their nurturing, I mean, email is going to be the biggest one, and that's where you're going to see the most results and in the least amount of time, especially if that's like a really big concern for you. I mean, even back during my time as account manager and even just hearing stories now, like I've heard so many stories from clients where it's like every time they send out an email newsletter, they get referrals or requests for repeat business. Like, and it's so simple because us doing it for them, obviously it's taken care of, but you doing it yourself with just a template, swapping out updated info, it takes you 15 minutes and you can touch hundreds or thousands, however big your contact list is, every single month or however often that you're sending that email. And it's just an easy way to stay top of mind. And again, like we were talking about earlier, doing it the right way, where you're just presenting that information, you're popping into someone's inbox with, covering just some sort of issue, some sort of common question that you get. And that's it. That's all you got. And even if they don't open it, they're still seeing your name show up. Yeah. They're still seeing that info show up, and you're just occupying a little place in their mind, planting that seed that's just going to keep recurring until it's time to take some action.
And real quick, to email, email marketing, if you're worried about the ROI, the average, I just got my producer just got in my ear and told me this stat.
You got in your own ear?
Can I guess what it is?
Yeah. What for every dollar spent, how many dollars do you think are made on average for email marketing?
I'm going to say 43.
It's 42.
Woo!
$42 for every $1 spent. It's $42 in return. That's insane.
I'm trying to do the quick math in terms of what that equates to with what we charge and then what our clients would make. I'm not a math person. I'm a words person.
Use your words, John.
It's probably something like $20,000.
But the cost is so low because the barrier to entry for a newsletter is so low. I mean, for a lot of even if you're doing yourself, it's the cost of paying someone for 15, 20 minutes to do it. Yeah. It works in your firm, and it's diverting their attention for 20 minutes. And you do that once a month. It's pretty simple. We always say what the best service is here, what the first thing you should get here, and I always say it's a newsletter.
Yeah.
So what's another channel? Let's keep on rolling with these channels here.
Social media would probably be the other main driver.
I knew that, but I wanted to hear you say it.
Well, yeah,
makes you feel better.
Just to help you feel validated. Well, then why don't you talk about it?
No, I will. Obviously, so social media, you have multiple platforms, and I feel like a lot of analysis paralysis comes from which channels should I be on. And honestly, the truth of the matter is the major ones, all the major ones: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, definitely. TikTok's a good place to be as well. Although right now they're talking about a ban again, so I mean, even if TikTok's not there, it's gonna be something else. And X is another good one. But you have all these platforms that you don't have to worry about growing your audience on these platforms, and I think that's probably where a lot of the analysis paralysis comes from. Is they're like, well, that's 5 different platforms right there. What's it? Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. Yes. I'm a math guy, right? That's 5 platforms right there. So that's 5 different strategies I got to come up with in order to grow my audience on. Where that's not the case. You don't need to grow your audience. It's more of a, hey, if they're going to find you through some other means, or if they're going to get referred to you, they're going to probably check social media. That's just, we live in the digital age.
As much as they would your website, it's just
or they go to your website, see your links
media,
to your
one
social
of those
media.
2 things, they're gonna go check you out.
Yeah, so I mean, you just want to be there, and you want to be, active enough to where they can be like, okay, yeah, this person is still in business, and also you're providing valuable content. So I mean, social media is just a great way to. I mean, that's where they are. That's where your audience is, regardless if they need a personal injury or a divorce attorney right
Why'd
now
you look
or not.
At me?
What's that?
Why'd you just look at me?
For both of those?
Yeah.
I think we know why. But regardless if they need it right now or not, doesn't matter. As long as you have the content up there when they do need you. I mean, that's where they're going to go. What's another channel that we can touch on here?
No, that was it.
What about website?
That's it. Yeah, you got 2 channels.
Well, no, but I mean,
let's talk about website.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, like blog and email, newsletter, email newsletter, and social media outside of your website are going to be kind of the 2 main drivers where you're going to be able to stay in touch. I kind of consider website as like a standard thing. Like if you don't have a website, what are you doing? Right? How are you even in business?
Or an updated website.
Or updated website is important too. But that's going to be kind of the starting point, I think, for a lot of people. Whether they are referred to you or whether they search you on Google, whatever the case is. Like your website's going to be kind of that first place that they're going to go look. So from there, it's, maybe they sign up for your email newsletter through your website, or they check out your social media links, like Eddie mentioned or whatever. But yeah, I mean, the website is a super important piece to really establish that credibility, to make it really obvious that you're the expert, even though you can't say you're an expert, but you can still do that through the.
That's always your go-to voice when you're saying something. You're like, then you have to contradict it really quick. Like,
well, yeah, because because I know there's going to be somebody out there be like, I can't call myself an expert.
You did it again.
Just that there's just that one listener out there in my head who lives in my head who's just gonna
sometimes it
be
turns
mean to me.
Seth Rogen. I
don't
know if you've heard that.
Definitely, I can see that.
So here's some numbers for anyone listening that might be like, oh, well, email newsletter is not worth it, or social media is not worth it. Let me just give you some numbers here. The producer got in my ear again. In the U.S. alone, roughly about 286 million individuals in the U.S. have an email, right? 286 million.
That's pretty much everyone that's not a child.
Yeah. Like it's got to be pretty much everyone.
and then that's substantial. And then you have about 239 million people in the U.S. are on social media or active on social media. That's
Yeah.
a lot of people.
That's a lot of attention.
So I mean, and the thing is, you don't have to reach all of them. We're not expecting you to reach all of them, but
Right.
there's the fact that that's a substantial numbers for where you could easily fit yourself into.
Right. You know, I mean, for decades, attorneys used to just put an ad in the yellow pages or put up a billboard, but not everyone read the yellow pages. Not everyone drove by that particular spot where the billboard was. But with email or with social media, you can reach everyone in your geographic area that would be a good fit for your services.
And plus, at the same time, it's really about relationship building, because this is, I mean, you know, I think it goes without saying, lawyers are not selling fuzzy socks. You know, it's not like they're just selling like something that maybe people will use once and then you know it's throw away. It's like this is like, for the most part, serious stuff, like life altering happenings.
But there will be attorneys that will push back on that. They'll say, well, I might deal with this client, this divorce. This is probably the only divorce they're going to get in their lifetime. Is like, I might not see them again for 30 years, so I need more people. I need to backfill them. No, that client that you just helped is your best salesperson. If you stay in touch with them, they will meet. So there's just because you're only going to work with them once doesn't mean you can't generate business from them repeatedly, just from that one interaction or one case you dealt with.
And how do you generate more business from them?
You nurture relationships.
Oh, outstanding.
Thank you.
So you've been listening. That's really.
I'm here, baby.
So, okay, so it's about relationship building. You know, not to make a terrible joke here, but you know, you've got people that turn cold. We're in the month of December. People, you know, sometimes clients they grab your services and then they're like, all right, see you later, right? And they kind of become not your best salespeople. They forget about you.
They have no connection anymore.
So talk about what you want to put, what kind of context, what kind of content you want put in your email newsletter. Goodness. In your social media. I'm dropping stuff over here. In your social media. To make sure that, like, whenever they do check their email and you pop up, or they do check their social media and you pop up, like, to make sure that they are still in the know of what you do.
I've had people, they said, oh, should I put this in my website? Should I put this on social media? And you can insert whatever this craziness that we've had. But I always ask, there's two things that you should ask yourself before you post anything. Number one, is it valuable? Does someone want to hear it? And number two, does it make you look professional? If it answers both of those wickets, fire in the hole. I mean, there's really nothing can go wrong with that. Value and professionalism.
What's worse? Here's a final question to wrap things up. I've got a bold, edgy question given to me by my producer.
I am ready for this.
What's worse? Not having a email or social media presence at all, or having an email and social media presence, but only having generic content, like very, very generic content?
I would say having generic content only because you're wasting your time and money.
For me, it hinges on how often are you still sending out those emails and posting those things.
Well, I wasn't aware we were getting follow-up questions. I didn't know that.
Well,
so he's
taking it a whole new
yeah. I took it at face value.
Like for me, I think for me, it's more about frequency, right? Like if you're going to send an email newsletter or post very sporadically on social media, that's worse than not having one at all, because the inconsistency doesn't do anything for you.
It's basically as if you don't have one to begin with.
Right. It's like, it's like, buying a gym membership, but only going like once a month. Like you're not going to see any results from that.
I can attest to that.
Yeah. Even if you go to the gym and like go hard, like 3 hours, like just making yourself throw up, you're working out so hard for that one time a month, still not going to do you any good.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's usually 3 hours in total. 1.5 hours is actually doing the work, and the other 1.5 hours is looking at yourself in the big ass mirror on the wall.
Exactly.
Oh, look at these gains.
Yeah. So for me, that's what's worse. Like something consistent is still better than nothing, because at least if you have the rhythm and the process down, you have a ton of opportunity to refine the kinds of content that you're putting out and find where the more the value is.
Cool. So one final question. I know I said that the last question was the final question, but I've got my producer again. Gosh, leave me alone. No. So lawyers are very busy. Where can they find the time to even start doing these activities? What to match that consistency? What did they do?
That's a tough one, Michael.
Call Spotlight branding. Yeah.
Got a new jingle.
Yeah, the other question really should have been the last question.
Well, if I stump you, it's okay. It'll just leave the listeners wanting more, and they'll come back.
All right, say the question again.
Okay. So you got very busy lawyers. Mm-hmm. John was just talking about consistency. You need to have consistency. Mm-hmm. Where can lawyers find the time? What can they do in order to make sure that they have consistent email, consistent social media presence?
Okay, so whenever I talk to attorneys, and a lot of times they give me someone else to talk to because they're busy, and I understand that because their main focus is not being a marketer. This is not why they got into this. It's just a prerequisite for being in business. So I would find the thing that has the greatest or the smallest opportunity cost. What is going to give me the most bang for the buck for the least amount of time I'm going to spend, and start with that. I mean, we're going back circle here, but I go back to the newsletter. I mean, we talked about the ROI being 42 times what you're going to put into it. So because the ROI is so large and the time commitment is so small, if you can't budget in 30 minutes once a month, I mean, you might need to reprioritize something. I mean, it's just I've gone. You can find that time, especially what is potential to generate for you. So start small with your marketing plan. Do one thing and do it really well, and leverage off that. I mean, because you can start linking your newsletter to social media. You can start writing blogs, put them in your newsletter, so you can branch off that in the future. But start small.
Do you concur?
Yeah, or outsource it or hire someone to do it for you. I mean, if the 42x exists by you just doing it yourself, okay, maybe it's still 20x, 10x, 15x. You're still going to get ahead, even if you're hiring someone to do it for you. So in my opinion, what's the ROI on the investment? Regardless, and for me, if you're still going to get out ahead, why not do it? And then later on down the road, you can bring that in-house or bring it in yourself once you are able to free up more time to do it yourself. That's totally fine. But start now and get ahead while the opportunity is right there.
There you go. Well, I appreciate you two being on the podcast. This has been fun.
Has it?
Has it?
It has.
Just messing with you, buddy. Thanks.
You guys make a good duo for the podcast here. What was that movie? You're old. What was that movie from the 50s?
How dare you, sir?
What was it, The Odd Couple or something like that?
Cagney and Lacey, The Odd Couple. I mean,
wasn't The Odd Couple a TV show?
Was it?
Yeah. It was a movie. Oh my God! It was absolutely a movie with Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon.
Yeah.
Wow.
See, this is why I
guess I am old. I was 25 years old when that movie
You walked
came out.
right into that.
All right. So anyone listening, thank you for listening. Please leave a review. We are trying to grow the podcast, and that helps out in a major way. And we will see you next week. Later.